Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. It's November 25th of 2022, and it's 12:43 a.m. I guess that means it's almost 1 a.m. With that daylight saving and the fact that I sleep sometimes, you know, I don't sleep 8 hours. I wish I've never, well, I used to. I mean, but anyway, I'm just going to. Well, let me say this, which is probably bad luck. It looks like my Beeline computer with the audio problems that it's had since I got it years ago. It looks like right now that the audio problems are not presenting a problem with me making these audio videos for YouTube. So this is going to be, I don't know how many, 10 or 11 pictures. Wait a minute, I took a couple. Oh, that's a problem. Well, I guess not. Yeah, a couple of very, very short videos. This is Thanksgiving. Hilary came over, our daughter, with a turkey and some whole bunch of stuff, and it was excellent. And I think we had it about 4 p.m. yesterday, and I really overate big time this time. Let's see. No, okay, this is not. Oh, I see what I see there. Okay. So, let's go with my little picture down here in the corner. Okay. Okay, here's one video clip. Let's see, wait a minute. JPEG, JPEG, JPEG. Okay, this is not the video. These are just the image. Okay, so here we go. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, this is not showing up because it's the wrong screen. I'm a little bit confused. I just woke up a while ago, so. Okay, let me put this back. And this image needs to be, yeah, here we are. Okay, over here. This is Hilary with the apple pie, which was, I just had a little bit. I mean, I ate so much before that it was great. I bet I really overate this time. The last couple of times, well, I think we all do. Well, maybe not all of us. There's a few smart Americans. But the last couple of times I haven't, and I've been kind of proud of myself. I didn't stuff myself. I mean, I stuffed myself later, eat some, take a nap, come back later, whatever. But so let me make this a little bit smaller. Hilary has a mask on because she we haven't had the 4th shot, I think it is. In fact, you know, like I know I need to go get the latest booster, and I need to get a flu shot, and then I think the one they're calling the monkey flu or something or other, and people are objecting to that for the name for some reason, which I can see why, you know, maybe why. But anyway, Hilary, whenever she comes in whenever she goes into like a grocery store or someplace like that, she now wears a mask, and but whenever she comes in here, you know, she'll wear the mask also. We don't ask her to, and I don't really think it's necessary for her, you know. But okay, this is the kitchen, of course. You can see the cat's eating thing. Back here's a litter, which the cat doesn't use, and we need to get that out of that, you know, get it out. The cat litter is in the other, you know. Here's our washing machine. It works, kicks along. And the dryer over here, yeah, you have to, it doesn't shut off, you know, so you have to go and like shut it off, and it runs a long time. It has to run extra long time to, so it's, you know, eating up electricity, I'm sure, on our bill. And this, of course, is our stove, you know, the oven and the burners on the stove. And my ex-wife and, you know, our grown son, they never, you know, they never cover up the frying pan or anything like that. So maybe you can even see, I think maybe on this refrigerator you can see, anyway, there's grease, and I cover everything up. Everything gets covered up with aluminum foil or something. So I think you can see a salt shaker here. You know, I pick up the salt shaker, and there's grease, you know, all over it. And then sometimes I have to wipe the top off because the holes are blocked by grease. And anyway, next picture. And that's Hilary again. If you've watched the videos, you've seen some. Hilary used to live, for years she lived in this apartment. Well, going back in history, and I'm not sure again, my ex-wife had a house, I forget the name of the town, here in Texas. And, well, when she was living with Hilary. Hilary had a nice house in Carrollton, Texas. And after X number of years, Hilary got rid of the house, and I'd come from Texas with Jimmy, yeah, and moved into Hilary's big place, and Hilary was living there with her son Russell, and Darlene was living there. And then after being there a little while, Hilary decided to, you know, get rid of the house. So Darlene had a real estate person go and show her a house that she could buy, and she wouldn't be able to make, you know, the payments on the house and everything else. But we were divorced, had been divorced for I don't know how, 30 years, whatever. I agreed to, you know, I'd pay the mortgage payment, and then she agreed to what she would buy groceries, and then she also, with her money, because it was, by the way, a really nice house, and in a small town, and it had I think they call them like grandma quarters or something or other, as part of the house out there next to the garage, the car garage or whatever. But there was a room that had a bathroom attached to it, its own bathroom. It had a kitchen and area for sleeping and everything. Nice. And so that was my area. And so then there was Darlene, our son, and our grandson there. And right away when the real estate guy who showed her the place, he was, born again Christian. But, born again Christian, but, well, I'm not going to go into his personal life, but I don't think I know he wasn't living up to what he should be if you're a Christian or a Muslim or Jewish or anything. But so he introduced her to the local. I think he introduced her to a local religious group, and so then they were coming over, and then right away somehow they I disappeared. I knew right away that so I would just, when they would come by to pick her up to take her to church or something, I'd be in my area anyway, with my computer and YouTubing or WordPressing or I forget whatever, all the stuff I was doing then, And then then it was like Darlene told me, oh, the church people are coming over to pick me up and take us to, I'm not sure if I don't think she could get Russell or Jimmy to go with her, but she said, oh, don't let them see you. And I said, why? Haven't you told them that, you share the place with an ex-husband? Oh, I think somehow they knew. Because she said something like, well, they ask me questions like, how can you do that, or whatever. And I said, and I mean, we're not having any kind of a relationship, of sexual nature or anything. We've been divorced for 30 years or more. I don't know how long, a long time. So I had to go hide, which I didn't really care. It was just the idea, so. And apparently the church people, she thought that was going to be, hey, I think she was thinking too, I'll meet a nice guy or something. I don't know what she was thinking. But anyway, I don't want to get in her head, And then one night I was in my room, my area, of course, and I heard her yell and scream out, hey, your dad, I want him out of here. I want his fat ass out of here. And then I could hear my son, our son, Mom, you can't afford this place. He's paying the mortgage, paying the mortgage payment and everything. And she says, I don't care, I want him out of here. So anyway, I waited till she was calmed down, then I went out in there and said, you really want me out of here? And she says, yes, I want you out, I said, okay. I said, I don't have any money right now because I just paid the mortgage payment. I said, all I get in is, Social Security and a small, hospital pension. I said, I don't have any money at all. I said, can you wait a week until I get my money, and then I can leave. I didn't have a car, She had a car. And so she drove me, about a week later, she drove me to the bus thing, and I took the bus and left. And of course, Darlene there was no way she could make the payment here, not here, but, so, so later on, when she lost the house, she moved into this apartment complex, and this building, in fact. And then after a few years, Russell, her son, and myself, we came from Miami, Florida. We've been down there for 5 years. And so we came up here and got an apartment which was right above her apartment. And then later, as costs went up and everything, she was paying for, television, cable and that kind of stuff, and I was paying for, I wasn't paying for cable, I was paying for cable internet, but not, and then everything else. So then, as prices went up, and of course they've gone up much worse now, but they moved into here. Well, by that time, Hilary had come here from Sweden, and he moved in with his mother in an apartment eventually, not right away like that, but in an apartment here, and she was here for I don't know how many years. And then she bought a property in a small town, and her and Hilary and Russell now live out there. So, a little update. Here's the turkey. It was a 22-pound turkey, and Hilary brought in, I think this is before we cut into it, but this is what she brought for us. And I guess that's the same. I think that, no, I guess I took almost immediately another. Should have moved a little bit or something. Okay. By the way, I just love these. This is Hilary's. I was like, I said, Hilary, do you have one? She says, oh yeah. She says, I have a whole bunch of them. And I do too. I don't have one sitting here on my thing. They're vented on top, those things or whatever, and you put it in the microwave, and really great. I only own, well, I guess I own 3 now. She told me to keep this one. So I own 3 now, I guess. And I just love them for like a can of soup. Put it in, clamp down the lid about 4 minutes or whatever, and it's vented through the top, and rice, all kinds of things. Great. There again, I'm just okay. This is Darlene. The dining room is right next to it, and that's Darlene's TV room. Well, that's where her bed is, and she's bedfast, and has to use a wheelchair to get around and whatever. But right next is the dining room. That's where she sleeps, and that's where she lays in bed and watches the big screen, Roku TV. And and then the kitchen is right next to it. And then when you come out of the kitchen, you know, it's sort of dining room thing. You don't actually, you know, it's like right next to it. So, but you come out, and then there's the living room, which is where Darlene has a desk with a, you know, computer and monitor and everything on it. And then the rest of the living room is unbelievable. One thing it's filled with, after we had the thing here a few years ago, where a couple hundred people died in Texas because the Texas power grid doesn't work really, you know, and that made the news. But it's loaded up with, because by then Hilary had moved into her place out in the small town. I think it's about 30 minutes from here. And she loves it out there. She's got wild animals and stuff, you know, all kinds of stuff. And she has, I don't know how many cats. She has one cat that's on medication, you know, I mean, you know, big time medication. And then she just had one, you know, a cat die. And I don't know how much she spent, you know, and I was telling her, you know, don't try to keep it alive, you know, but no. She had heart surgery done on it. And that's Hilary. She loves animals. So when the power grid went out for, I think it was 3 days or 3.5 days, we don't have a standby generator. We don't have, you know. So, but Hilary went out, and well, we had bought those boxes of wood. I think it's artificial wood or something, and it's for fireplaces. And I think I might have bought, I can't remember how many I bought, 5 boxes or something. And I don't know how many Darlene bought, maybe 10 boxes, I mean, you know, of it. And then Hilary went out during actually when people couldn't find firewood or whatever. She went and she found and brought it. So it's stacked in our, in the living room. I mean, it's, so, just Hilary again. Hilary again. I think she's, you know, underneath there is some bread, some type of bread. I haven't heard of it. And she got some, I think she got all this stuff maybe at Walmart. And he got these little bread things, like buns or whatever, but with real butter on them. And they were really good. So I told Darlene, I said, when you order, you know, from Walmart, order some of those, you know. And she agreed, you know. We also got an apple pie. Okay, that's my plate, my first trip. There's the buns, by the way. There's the bun, by the way. There's another one. And okay, this is, what is it? I always forget the name of it. It's a Halloween for a lot of people in the United States. Not jelly, what is it? Not raspberries. I can't remember. And then, of course, dressing. So I had this, and then I came back for seconds. I'm actually feeling a little better finally. And I did just have a little tiny piece of, very small piece of, okay, I don't see the, okay. There was also mashed potatoes and gravy, and I had those in a separate dish. So. Anyway. That's it. Okay, let's go to front page of CNN. Well, how many minutes is this thing anyway? Oh, this is not good. Things have been relatively quiet on the COVID front. That may soon come to an end. New boosters add limited protection against COVID-19 illness. First real-world study shows FDA approves a drug with a $3.5 million price tag per treatment. That must be a drug for if you actually get to, it had to be in the hospital or something rather. World's skinniest skyscraper is complete and its interiors are remarkable. Wow. A man reported missing from a Carnival cruise ship was rescued by the U.S. Coast Guard in the Gulf of Mexico. Hear how parents were united with their infants from a Russian orphanage. Election deniers faced defeat, but election denialism is still swirling in Amazon or Arizona. French bulldog wins top prize at National Dog Show. Elon Musk mocks shirts he found in Twitter's building. Ukraine is racing to restore power across the country after Russian attack. There's concern that Russia is going to do something to cause that nuclear power plant to have problems and melt down or do something. It could be horrifically bad. Here's why you really get sleepy after indulging in it. Every year they have a thing, there was a thing like that that explains something, whatever about that. Al Roker, if you're outside the country, probably outside the United States, you would, he missed a parade due to hospitalization. I forget what his problem was. I can't remember. Here's before you slice your holiday pie, read this. FDA, Federal Drug Administration, warns against consuming certain raw oysters distributed to 13 states after reported illnesses. I don't think I've ever had an oyster, I don't believe. E. Jean Carroll sues Trump for battery and defamation as look-back window for adult sex abuse survivors opens up in New York. "70 Russian missiles were launched Wednesday," the Ukraine says. Paramedic rushes to tragic crash scene only to realize victim is her daughter. I've seen a whole bunch of stories. I even know of some local, when I was working hospital security and stuff, of things like that, things like that happening. And when I was working hospital security at one of the hospitals that I worked at, the one a few blocks away from where I lived, when I would hear the hearer system, that's a system using VHF radio, that ambulances and then the hospital emergency room or whatever would. They also had a thing in the switch telephones where the operators were, whatever. I believe it depended. It varied with hospitals. But I would hear, when I was working for 9 years at the hospital in my local town, I would hear them calling in, the ambulance, we're transporting a, white female, such and such an age or whatever, and I'd go, oh my God, I hope that's not Hillary. And then at least once, maybe twice, once I wasn't. Once I was working, and she came in. Her boyfriend had pushed her through a glass door and cut her arm really bad. Really bad. And the other time I wasn't working, she had a different boyfriend. It was a different boyfriend. She was living with me, and I think maybe Jimmy, our son. And she had this boyfriend who was bad news. He'd been in prison and everything else, and he was violent. And she pulled up with a boyfriend. She was in the boyfriend's car. She pulled up. I was home, and I walked out on the outside the door, of the mobile home, and she was in the car. And then this other boyfriend who was had been in prison big time, he pulled up behind her, and then Hillary told the boyfriend, of course she said it wasn't a boyfriend, Anyway, she told him, take off, take off, take off, And then he floorboarded and took off, and then this guy behind floorboarded, and I could hear, they were in this mobile home park, heading out, and I could hear the tires squealing. And I just knew, okay, there's going to be a crash. And then I heard the crash, down in front of the office for the trailer park, and they took her to the local hospital where I, worked. I went over, to the hospital, of course, and Hillary, they transported her to the main hospital, and she went into the intensive care unit, and was in the intensive care unit. And that's something you don't want to have to go through, that kind of stuff. So I guess that's the front page. time to end this. How long has this been? Okay, only 30 minutes, so that's not bad for me. Oh, let me not fail to do this. Please use this link above. All it does is take you to Amazon. It just takes you to Amazon, but once you're there, if you purchase anything, I will get a commission. And for the last few months, they pay monthly. For the last few months, I think it has to be $10 or something before they deposit it directly into your account. I haven't even, Now, back a few months ago, and I've shown in the past, I've actually shown how much, but there was, I think, 2 months in a row where I took in $70. And I think maybe at the end of this month I'm going to take in $65. I mentioned this before. Somebody purchased a $1,000 computer, and then something else for that computer that they purchased by using my link. And so it would be nice, with prices skyrocketing for everything. The electrical bill is massive. I forget what it was. I just paid it. And I think the lease is, I think it's once a year. I think that's the most you can do. You can do month to month, which of course they add on for that. And then I think you can do maybe a 6-month thing, or you can do a year. And every time, of course, when we do the year, the rent always goes up. I don't think there's been a 1 year that they didn't increase the amount of the rent that we have to pay. It always goes up. And really the only income I have, a small amount, insignificant, coming from 18 years of hospital security. So really about all I have is Social Security. And the rent increase for the lease for a year or whatever, I think always exceeds the plus they seem like they throw in some extra things. When we moved in, I forget what we didn't pay. We didn't have to pay for, I forget what it was. And then over time, and then one time, that really pissed me off. They added, what was it, water? I can't remember. Water, but they, and then they added some other things, like I think maybe we didn't pay for trash service or something. And then they started charging for that, adding that on, and then one of the ladies who lived, she doesn't live here anymore. When they did, I ran into her outside taking the trash out or something like that. And she talked to me a little bit, and she said that, they just raised the, because, our thing, when we get the new, not everybody signed in for the same, time, so we've all, So she had just, and ours was going to be coming up, she said, I just, they just increased my amount for, the lease here. And she says, I went down and talked to now of course the two ladies that work at the office, it's a corporation. They have apartment complexes all over the United States, and even have at least another one right in, Fort Worth, and maybe another one, I don't know, and around. But she says that, she said that she went to the office and complained, and she told, them that, well, I just, I'm on Social Security, and that's all I have, and this is a big, and it was a big increase. I think that's might be the time when they gave the increase, and then they added these other things that they didn't have. I mean, we pay for. You're allowed to have, I think, up to 2 animals, and you have to pay extra each. You have to pay a deposit that you will get back. But this, the lady, now this is what this lady was telling me, but she said, I went and talked to, and the ladies that work in the office, well, one of them quit. I'm not sure if the second one was it, but the one there, the manager or whatever, she's really nice, and she's been here. I mean, she was here when when I signed in here, and when Darlene signed up, years before that. So she's a really nice lady and everything. But anyway, this lady that I was talking to said, she said, I went to the office and I talked to so-and-so and told her I can't afford this increase or whatever. Now, I don't know, maybe this lady that was talking to me was, I don't know what kind of, communication was going on, but she said, well, so-and-so said, the manager or whatever, well, you got a 5% increase or something, and whatever it was, maybe it was 4%, whatever it was, you got that, so that pays for the thing, and that kind of like, ouch, I mean, the cost of living, the COLA, cost of living index or whatever, it's supposed to try to help people who are on Social Security, manage because costs go up and that type of stuff. And then to be sitting down, there in the office. But of course, this person has no control. It's a corporation, But to come back with that, I thought, ouch, that's not. Anyway, the lady, she was middle-aged or older. She had a boyfriend, and he told her she could move in with him, so that's what happened. She didn't sign a new lease, and she moved in with him. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Yeah, I'm up to about almost 45 minutes now. Okay, I'm going to stop. Please, you see. I think in February, I believe, is our new time to sign the new lease. And I'm concerned about, we'll make it. Because my ex-wife, she's getting Social Security, and I'm getting Social Security. And then I got a small amount, very small amount. Think minimum amount, and that's it. Well, think minimum amount, and then divide by 2 or something, and that's it, 18 years of working hospital security, being shot at, and everything else. And it's not like working for, being hired by a big city police department or something like that for the hospital. Now, hospital security, I worked 30 years altogether, 18 years for one hospital. And I turned down a job with a small police department because I made more working hospital security than I couldn't afford to. And every time they had an opening, when they finally started, in the beginning, like I was 1 day a week as a reserve officer for years. I never missed a day. Just happened to be, there was like 7 of us reserve officers, and one of us patrolled every night. Now, some nights, the guy who was the reserve officer, he wouldn't go into patrol. I did it every Sunday night for a whole bunch of years. But anyway, there for a while, when they finally started to hire, you know, they hired their first full-time officer, and then worked up, and eventually a Walmart store moved a very short distance from Belton, and about 3 or 4 blocks or something like that, moved there. And then they started having tax revenue coming in, and then they could start paying their officers, But there for quite a few years, every time, the chief would say, there's an opening, and I couldn't afford it, couldn't afford to take it. And oh, funny story. It's not really funny. I forget how old my son was. I'm thinking maybe 18, and he worked there, and I think at Walmart, the old location, before they moved into Raymore, a few blocks into Raymore. He worked there, and so they had some 18-wheelers or whatever, cab or whatever. And then the trailer thing, and so the Walmart manager just came and said, "Okay, you're going to be, we'll load the truck up, and then you're going to drive it to the new location, and whatever." And so my son, we were living together, but at some point, he says, I didn't know what this driving situation was. I didn't, I was working midnight shift, come home and sleep, and I didn't really know what was going on with him. I mean, other than he was working and going to electronics school, I think at that time. He went and got a degree in computers and electronics, graduated. He had to take out 2 loans, and I took out 2 loans so that he could, and he paid his loans, and I paid the loans that I took out for him. But anyway, I think he said something like, well, they're not having me drive the truck anymore. I said, I didn't know you were driving, the truck. Yeah. And I said, well, why aren't you driving the truck anymore for them? Well, they found out I didn't have a commercial. I said, you were driving an 18-wheeler without a, whatever it's called, seat. You have to, to drive one of those trucks, you have to have a license, and then you have to have a license to drive those kind of vehicles, and you have to have a health check. I'm not sure if it's once a year or what. And I had no idea, and he didn't know. He didn't have any training on how to. It was only a few blocks, but my God. Anyway, more funny or sad or tragic. Real life. Who was that rock, or not, was he rock, the guy that did so many drugs, married, of course, and then back then television had a thing, the life of, what in the world is his name? Somebody told me one time, I was telling somebody a little bit about my life, just a little bit, and the person said they should be doing a television, instead of doing a television show on this rock who was big time drug user, and his wife, and they showed the the home type whole thing, and this person said, they should be doing a story of your life, as it was transpiring. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.